Know your triggers. As promised, I'm bringing you the Apple inventory. If you missed this week's earlier episode, you should go back and listen to that because I went through the fruits philosophy. FRUITS is the acronym. And I also indicated at the end that I would bring you next the Apple inventory, which should be applied in the U or understanding phase of the fruits tool. Let's get started. The Apple inventory is a list you're going to go to in any situation in which you feel yourself triggered. But you will also use this inventory in conjunction with your truthful, trusted other or others. We've got to remember in these situations, we do not want to repeat what Eve did in taking that bad apple from the serpent. She traded her destiny for his. She didn't see what the backstory was. She was caught up in what she wanted. She couldn't see anything else. Even what she knew was wrong did not survive her thinking in this situation. In the real world, in our situations, the trauma we've experienced has caused physiological brain changes, but it has also clouded our thinking because the aftermath of that trauma is a constant churning in our lives, and it has, by virtue of changing our brain chemistry, completely blocked certain aspects of our perspective and perceptions. Now, why is that important? That's important because when we have those important aspects of the way we think, our cognition, altered, then we are not capable in that altered state of seeing truth or seeing reality in the midst of being triggered. Now, this is default. It happens by default for trauma survivors. And we don't have to think about it. It's just our natural state of being. And what the Apple inventory does, it stops you in the middle of that traumatic hijacking, and it causes you to use a part of your brain that reasons through things. Now, if I haven't said it before, I'm saying it now. This is going to feel so foreign. It feels so foreign to us. It seems like it takes such an effort, but just like anything that you learn, you just have to repeat it over and over again in order to see the fruits of it and to make that your new default setting. So what I'm saying here is basically this. We always hear about brain chemistry. We hear about how trauma changes the DNA and the brain chemistry. But what we need to hear in that is that brain chemistry can be altered by our will. We can change our brain chemistry. The brain is highly plastic. It's got a plasticity that it can, in certain cases, heal itself, or it can redirect the synapses. The brain is a powerful thing, but you're not hijacked by that in a situation where trauma is. You can unlearn those traumatic default settings. And that's why I created the Apple inventory, because we need to be able to see to the core of any matter in order to make positive, destiny-driven decisions, purposeful decisions. Being deliberate in how we respond to a matter completely changes our outcomes. So we want to always root out the backstory. Remember we talked about, had Eve done that, then she would not have taken that apple and she would not have eaten that apple, because she would have been able to see through the disguise. She'd have been able to see through the motivations as opposed to just going with that flow. One of the first questions you're going to ask is, do I need an attitude adjustment? Now, that's a loaded question. You won't answer that until you come through all of the fruits philosophy, which we will discuss later. But do I need an attitude adjustment? Is my attitude perpetuating negativity in this situation? Is the way my default response is feeding the negative or empowering the positive? Then you're going to ask, how can I leverage my will to make a better choice as opposed to engaging with negativity? These are deliberate questions you have to ask in the middle of being hijacked. Another question you're going to ask is, how do I position myself to look at the event from another perspective? Yeah, your truthful, trusted others will help with that. The fruits philosophy will help with that. How do I position myself to look at the event from another perspective? And is my perspective correct? Or am I misperceiving the event? Is this physiological change in my brain due to trauma hijacking my ability to make a different decision in this situation? Is my perspective correct? Or am I misperceiving the event? You're going to also ask, am I reacting based on the facts of the situation, or have I subconsciously read something from my past into the current event? That's deep. This is called stopping the hijack, okay? You're flying this doggone plane. It's your brain, and it does not get to hijack you any freaking longer. Then another question you're going to ask is, what irrational beliefs are at play in this current situation? You have to really do a lot of self-examination here. Think back to the first time you ever felt whatever you're feeling right now, emotionally and physiologically. What irrational beliefs are at play here? And you might want to, again, think back to the first time you ever experienced that, or the last time you experienced that, because that's going to give you a clue as to where that is rooted. And unless and until you can really identify and root out where this automatic default response is rooted, you may not have success. You have to go over and over again this same old thing. So what I've done with this inventory is I'm trying to help us to go back to the root causes, because it's just the basis of understanding how that's driving our responses can be very empowering. And what lies am I telling myself or believing? What is the truth of the matter? Again, your truthful, trusted others can be beneficial in this. What conscious or subconscious expectations are driving my reactions to the event? This is a powerful question, and by the time we get to the end of this series, you will understand the importance of subconscious expectations. Know your triggers. Make a list of everything. See, what happens is, you ever meet somebody that you just didn't like? They never did anything to you. You just don't like them. Or you're having a conflict on your job. It's just something about somebody that works your last nerve. Sometimes it's because that person, their personality, mannerisms, whatever, remind you of somebody from the past. But see, consciously, you're clueless. And it's important to know what your triggers are. See, in the moment when you get hijacked by a trigger, there is no rationality, period. If you allow yourself to escalate to a certain point, I just watched Roland on TV, and he had somebody on that was describing it as when you're on a roller coaster and you're creeping up. Once you get up there, you say, no, I don't want to. it jumps over the edge and you're in free fall. See, that's how the trigger is. If you can learn your physiological responses, your emotional responses, and catch that thing before it goes down the hill, then you might be able to avert a situation that you will live to regret. But if you allow yourself to escalate to the point where you're going in free fall, it's all over with but the crying by the end. So I want you to make a list of people, places, personality, things that seem to be triggers for you. And you might even have to go all the way back to childhood. But I want you to make a list of that, because if you can just identify your triggers, then you can begin to create proactively your game plan for how you're going to address that trigger before it takes you over the edge and you're in free fall. Just always remember, once you hit that certain spot, like the Will Smith thing, he was triggered, okay? And unless somebody intervenes with you, or you can catch yourself before you get to the top of that mountain, once he was triggered, okay, he's irrational. But there's always a point before the top of that hill and going down where you can have a proactive plan for how I'm going to address this trigger. But you have to do it before you get there. Once the bandits in your house, it's too late to be trying to figure out how to go to the shooting range and use some protection to protect your home. It's too late once you're triggered to be talking about a tool to stop it. So I just wanted to encourage you to know what your triggers are. Know what they are. Make a game plan proactively for how you're going to deal with that. And take control. Look, this trauma thing is no easy win for anybody. I'm just so sorry that so many of us have gone through that. And it takes some deliberate work, consistent and deliberate work, not only to heal, but to make sure that we're not getting hijacked in the meantime. This is just a quick tip since you guys wanted some tools. I'm Dr. Linda F. Williams. Hey, if you like what you see here today, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when we upload, and like and share the video. Thanks.